Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be reviewing and discussing the 2024 Suzuki GSX-8R. We're going to accomplish a couple of things with this video. First, we're going to talk about some specs. Then, I'll get you an exhaust clip so you can get an idea for how this bike sounds. Next, we'll head out for a test ride where I'll take you through some of the functions and features on the motorcycle. And finally, I'm going to do my best to prepare for you a verdict on this motorcycle for whether or not you should be looking at it and saying, it's a good buy. Or if you should be saying goodbye. Two more things before we get going. One, I am an affiliate for Revzilla. I have some links in the description below where you can find my gloves that I wear and also the protective chest piece that I wear while I ride during these videos. And there's some other odds and ends in there as well, so if you want to check that out, again, links in the description below. And item number 2 on the agenda, we have to give a big thank you to our dealership partner. That's Big St. Charles Motorsports!
Big St. Charles Motorsports is your premier dealer for everything power sports related here in the Midwest. Located just 20 miles northwest of St. Louis in St. Charles, Missouri, Big St. Charles Motorsports easily has the most inventory and the most brands under one roof. You really will have a hard time finding a bigger selection than what Big St. Charles Motorsports offers. Whether it's the Apex Predator of the top-of-the-line road-going motorcycles, a big touring machine from someone like Indian Motorcycle, or just something in the off-road category from Gas, KTM, Yamaha, Honda, Suzuki, Kawasaki, Can-Am, it doesn't matter. They've got it all under one roof. But it doesn't just stop at the machine. Their parts, apparel, and gear department is stellar. Whether you're looking at something from Shoei, Bell, Fox, Alpinestars, the employees that work here are sure to get you steered into the right direction. They'll make sure to get you fitted into something so you can rep your favorite brand. Come down and visit them today. Located at 3830 West Clay Street, St. Charles, Missouri. Find them online at bigstcharlesmotorsports.com or give them a call directly at 636-946-6487. Big St. Charles Motorsports and Omnimoto are not affiliated in any other capacity outside of these test ride reviews. If I say something stupid, please don't blame Big St. Charles.
Okay, now that all that's out of the way, let's dive in and let's talk about some specs first. Starting at the front of the motorcycle, we have a set of twin 310mm discs with a radially mounted Nissan caliper with 4 pistons. This motorcycle does come standard with ABS as well as traction control. Suspension is provided to us by Showa. The forks are 41mm in diameter. They have an inverted setup for improved unsprung mass down low, keeping our steering nice and light. At the rear of the motorcycle, we find a singular 240mm disc pinched between a single piston Nissan caliper. Suspension on the 8R is a standard monoshock with just preload adjustability mounted right in the center of the frame. And now we can talk about the motor found in the GSX-8R's frame. This is a 776cc parallel twin dual overhead cam liquid cooled motor. It generates approximately 82 peak horsepower at 8,500 RPM, along with 57.5 pound-feet of torque at 6,800 RPM. This parallel twin engine, compared to the GSX-R 750's inline 4-cylinder engine, has a much more usable power curve for everyday use and around town riding. And what's great about this engine is that it's paired with Suzuki's ride-by-wire system, which is excellent. We'll talk more about that while we're out on the test ride. The transmission in this motorcycle is a 6-speed setup. It is a constant mesh, but it does have a bi-directional quick shifter, which again, we'll talk about during the test ride. The wet weight or curb weight of the Suzuki GSX-8R comes in at 452 pounds. Wet weight means all necessary operational fluids like coolant, oil, gasoline, brake fluid, all of that good stuff is in the bike on the curb, ready to ride. And though that weight is a little bit heavier than the competition, it does contribute to the GSX-8R feeling incredibly planted and stable out on the roadways. Seat height comes in at 31.9 inches. And just so you have a reference, I'm approximately 6'1". I have a 32-inch inseam, and I'm around 185 pounds. This is how I fit on the Suzuki GSX-8R. Right away, you guys can probably see that I'm fairly upright with a very slightly forward bias. My shoulders are slightly in front of my heels for that gentle lean forward without being too aggressive to ride around every day, all day, and be comfortable while doing it. But don't let its friendly riding position fool you. This is still a very capable motorcycle out in the real world whenever you want to ride it hard and push it a little bit. All right, now that we've fondled around enough with our GSX-8R, let's throw it to the exhaust clip. And as an added bonus, here's what this motorcycle sounds like with an aftermarket exhaust on it. I love the sound of a 270-degree firing order on a parallel twin motor. But that's enough of that. Let's go to the test ride now.
Hello everybody, it's me again. And now we're test riding the GSX-8R. We're gonna start in the Big St. Charles Harley-Davidson parking lot as per usual, where we're gonna test its manners at low speed and see how maneuverable and nimble it is. And one thing I wanna hit on while we're in this parking lot is Suzuki's idle up feature that they have for smooth takeoff every single time, and I'll show you exactly how that works. I hope you can see this on the camera. Keep your eye on the tachometer. I'm at about 1400 RPM. As I slowly let out on my clutch, I'm not gonna touch my throttle, and the bike is gonna idle up for me. See it creeping up over 1600? So whenever we take off, no real throttle needed on a standard takeoff. I'm just gonna slowly let out on the clutch, find that friction zone, and let the bike do the work for me. Oh yeah. Smooth and easy every time. And of course, we can add throttle to make that takeoff a little bit better, just like this. But that idle up feature does help those of you who may struggle with that initial bite of the clutch whenever you're finding the friction zone. Really like that feature about this bike. It inspires confidence in newer riders and will allow you to get on a bike that feels big and on paper is big, but does really well for itself. A couple other things we're gonna do in the parking lot real quick. We're gonna get our brakes semi-bedded in. We're gonna just get things warmed up and moving. Nice, gentle pull. All right, things are still getting mated. We just hit 221 degrees Fahrenheit and the fans kicked on, so that's good to see. Love to see a motorcycle functioning properly. Ramp it up to 30. Really jam on those. No ABS interference either. That was really controlled and nice. And that radial brake caliper gives us excellent pad alignment to our surfaces to get the most effective stopping force. Do it again. Oh my goodness. Excellent feel. Excellent feel at the lever. Translates very well. I can feel it start biting as soon as I start applying any pressure at all, and the harder I squeeze it, the better it translates down to that caliper. Very nice. GSX-8R, very nice indeed. And we can talk about our ride modes really quick. We've got A, B, and C mode. A being the most sporty, B being kind of the middle of the road, and C being the most toned down for unideal conditions, like whenever it might be raining outside, it's a little bit cold, you don't have your tires warmed up. C mode is going to give you the most tame throttle response, basically. A mode is going to give you the most aggressive throttle response and fueling. And once more, B is just kind of that middle of the road option that does everything pretty well. We also have different levels of traction control as well that we can select from. We have mode 1, which is the least interference, mode 2, middle of the road interference, and mode 3 for the most interference. And we can also shut that traction control off. And just so you guys can see how intuitive and easy it is to navigate through this menu, check this out. We're gonna hit mode and it's gonna highlight traction control. Traction control is highlighted. I go down, 1, 2, 3, up, and I can even shut it off at the very top. We're gonna leave it in 1. If I hit mode again, I will go into my Suzuki ride modes. Bam! C mode, B mode, A mode. So simple, so easy and effective. It works amazing and it's very responsive. Not clunky, not laggy. It works very well. So far in the parking lot, this bike is boding very well for me. I'm not experiencing any noticeable pain in my wrists or in my back or my hips. Rider triangle, doing very well for us today. And now we're gonna do the 2 parking spot test. I have the utmost confidence that this bike will perform well here, as the naked rendition of this motorcycle, the GSX-8S, did very well for itself. If you wanna check that bike out, click this link up here on the screen right now. Okay, so basically the goal, start on this white line, turn in before, not the white line next to me, but the one next to that. So, we're gonna get ourselves ready. We're gonna get our foot on that back brake so we can stabilize ourselves. We're gonna find that friction zone. The bike's gonna idle up for us. We're gonna cut the bars, and here we go. Just beautiful. I love it. The feel at the lever on the clutch is phenomenal on this machine. Just like the feel on the brake lever is phenomenal. That is a very precise lever setup for both brake and clutch. Throttle as well. You know, it's ride-by-wire, but I gotta give it credit. A lot of ride-by-wire systems from, you know,
back in the day weren't amazing. They have that little bit of lag as you open them up, and it can get herky-jerky, but Suzuki seems to have ironed that out on the 8R. So kudos, Mr. Suzuki, kudos. Let's get out on the actual roadways with this motorcycle. We're gonna put ourselves in A mode, and we're gonna ride it. We are gonna ride this bike. Here we go. And now would be a great time to bring up the quick shifter on this motorcycle. That's right, this bike comes equipped standard with a quick shifter. It's bidirectional for seamless upshifts and downshifts for optimal power delivery in any situation. Hi, sorry to interrupt. I know you were enjoying that content, but I've got a question for you. Do you want to see what's going on underneath of this helmet? Are you curious about the individual who hides behind this mask? Well, have I got some news for you. If you want to see what's under here, all you've got to do is help me get to 20,000 subscribers. At 20K subs, this helmet comes off and you get to see who's been under here the whole time. And maybe you don't care, but it'd be cool if you could hit that subscribe button anyway. Okay, anyway, thank you. Back to the video. You can see I'm banging through the gears. I'm not having to use my clutch lever. I'm in 5th, I'm in 6th. If I want to go down, I just give it a tap. 5th, tap 4th, tap 3rd. Buttery smooth. Oh, lady on the trike, too cool to wave at the sport bike. Oh, you're so cool on your 3-wheel Harley Davidson, lady. Whatever. So while we're out on this humid 90-degree day here in St. Louis, Missouri, it would be a good time to talk about my Alpinestars Bionic action jackets. Previously, I rode with a leather coat and I would pull the liner out, but it was still just so hot riding in that. I saw one of these, I had to try it. It breathes so well, flows a ton of air, and still keeps you moderately protected. Of course, nothing is as good as a nice thick leather coat, but not every day is super feasible with something that thick and heavy. You can get one on Revzilla. Check the link in the description below. We can talk a little bit about the comparison between this and the GSX-R 750 while we're out here, because people will see GSX-8R and GSX-R 750 and immediately think, oh, an 800 is more than a 750, it must be faster, right? Wrong! You're wrong about that. Stop thinking that. The GSX-8R is a parallel twin. The GSX-R 750 is an inline 4-cylinder designed for racing. The 8R is designed for the everyday guy. While it still does have some decent track capability if you do take it out and hit the tarmac with it, it really isn't as high strung as the 750, and that's reflected in the price on Suzuki's website. Last I checked, the GSX-8R started at $94.39 for the 2024 model year. The GSX-R 750 started at, I think, $12,999 for the 2024 model year, somewhere in that wheelhouse. Over a $3,000 difference. So, does more bigger mean more better? Obviously not. The Suzuki GSX-R 750 is a precision weapon designed with track racing in mind. The GSX-8R is still a decent weapon. However, it's much more friendly for the everyday rider and doing everyday tasks. It's a great commuter, it's super smooth and very user-friendly. And I want to mention that even though it's an 800, I think that this would suit a lot of beginners really well, because of all of the adjustable ride modes and traction control settings and just how easy it is to ride. Again, that little idle up feature on the clutch makes this bike easier to ride. And really, as long as everything around the engine works well, you know, the chassis, the brakes, the suspension, as long as all of that works well, it can instill a lot of confidence in new riders. And an 800cc motorcycle back in, 1980, that was a lot of motor. It was all go, but there was no whoa. You know, the braking technology, the suspension technology, chassis management technology, it just wasn't quite up to standard with the performance of the engines from that generation of motorcycles. Today, we've got bikes that are easy to ride, and I think this is possibly one of the best examples of that. The only other bike that I can think of right now that takes that same title and wears it really, really well is the new 2024 Yamaha MT-09. I got to ride one of those at a Yamaha demo event. That bike is so goddamn good, I will be incredibly shocked if that bike does not win Bike of the Year. Of course, it'll probably go to the frickin' BMW R1300 GS Adventure motorcycle.
Boring.
Ooh, Okay. So using that quick shifter to shift down gears while going down a hill, it doesn't seem to like that, but that's all right. We're gonna make it. Such positive clicks out of the gearbox. So good, so crispy. Suzuki has really done well for themselves with this motorcycle. And just like that, I've pushed 2 buttons. Here, I'll do it again. I'll push those same 2 buttons and put it back to how it was. Let's go traction control. Level 1. Wow, look at that. Now let's go traction control off. Wow, look at that. So simple, so effective. I'm not fumbling my way through, 15 different menu selections before finding the one that I need. I appreciate that so much. And a lot of the tech today on something like a KTM or a BMW can be a little overwhelming at times when it comes to getting through their menus, navigating, and finding things that you want to use but might not know where they're at. So we're stopping on the side of the road here because we're gonna check to see if the Suzuki GSX-8R wheelies, and that's why I shut traction control off. I've got a pretty strong feeling in my gut that this bike does wheelie. Let's see if my gut's right, and let's see if my skill level is improving enough to be able to get this front wheel up and maybe even carry it out a little bit. We're gonna find ourselves in second, going a meager 35 miles per hour, and we're gonna just do a little clutch drop and yay, a little bit. Yeah, she does a little wheelie. Can we do it a little bit better though? Here we go. Yeah, the Suzuki GSX-8R does wheelie. Bravo, little 8R, bravo. I think I'm like 15 minutes in now, still no fatigue. Seating position, muy bueno. And I'm finding that the tank looks big, but as I look down, my knees are very close together. I'm hugging it really, really well. You can hold on to it. Granted, if you're a little bit shorter than me, maybe you don't have the same reach I do, maybe it'll be a little bit tougher for you. But overall, I like it. I really like the seating position. I really like this bike, actually. I like this bike and the ADA. In the future, the only thing I would want to see on this motorcycle is a radial lever pull rather than an axial lever pull. I feel like it would just improve the feel of the lever a hair more, even though it's already good. There's always room for improvement. Never stop innovating. And I would like to also see cruise control. A ride-by-wire bike with no cruise control is a crime. So I know they can do it, and maybe we'll see that in later generations of the 8R. I would really hope so. It'd be awesome to see that come down the road in the later versions of this motorcycle. It's already really good. In my opinion, I think this bike gets a very respectable and solid, like 9 out of 10. It's that good. And the MCN news guy, the Motorcycle News Magazine, I think is what it is, they put this up against a bunch of other middleweights, and all the journalists at the end of that comparison, except for like maybe 1 or 2 of them, said that they would take the GSX-8R over a lot of the other offerings that are available today. And I think that says a lot about this motorcycle, especially from some snobby journalists who are going to be a little bit more picky than a guy like me, just your average dude who's out here riding and vlogging. And I think that bodes really well for Suzuki and what kind of products they build. They build very quality motorcycles. Their fit and finish is excellent for a Japanese motorcycle. This bike feels like almost very European in the control boxes and everything. I'm a freak about my buttons. I love the way these click. The one thing I'm not crazy about with this bike is the handlebar risers. I think those are kind of gaudy, a little bit ugly. They function properly though. They function just like any other set of handlebars. They work well. And when you're off the bike, you don't really see all of these bolts here kind of in your face. That's one cosmetic visual thing that I have a gripe with, but I'm not going to let it ruin the rest of what's going on here that makes this bike so good. All right, and now we're getting up to highway speed and doing it with 0 issue. Okay, I've screwed this up in my last 2 videos. Please, I hope you guys can see behind me in this mirror. These mirrors actually work so well. I'm trying so hard to get these in the shot. I want you guys to be able to see what I see. So I hope this is working. If it's not, I'm so sorry, and I'm sure that I will see that I failed whenever I get sit down to edit this video. Here's some highway capability. We're maintaining 70 miles per hour. Let's say that we want to make a fast pass and get around all these vehicles. Quick shift down to 4th gear. Let's pull 85, 90, 100, 110. Not bad at all. And even from 6th gear, let's say that I didn't shift down there. Let's go 70 to 80 and just see how long that takes. Put a timer on the screen now. 80. Pretty quick. It's pretty quick. And as I'm watching my miles per gallon here, that's something else I wanted to talk about on the dash. There's a bunch of good readouts in here, like your fuel range, your instant miles per gallon, odometer, battery health, trip 1, trip 2, of course. So a bunch of good readouts in there. And again, easy to navigate. You see all the information you need to see. It's all displayed very well and in spots that make sense to the human eye. And those of you who watch my videos regularly should know that this is where we normally do our 0 to 60 test. So that's what we're going to set up for right quick. We're going to just sit right here and wait. Make sure we have no traffic that's going to be taking this on-ramp. I'm going to do my best to propel this bike from 0 to 60 as quickly and efficiently as possible. Please keep in mind, I'm not a professional and we're going uphill, so my time may not be 100% accurate. But yeah, you know, we're going to give her hell. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, go. 60. I think that was pretty decent. It felt decent to me. I hope it ended up decent with that little time card up there. I saw a lot of mixed reviews on the actual fuel economy people were getting on these bikes, and I think it's very heavily dependent on how you ride it. Suzuki claims, I think, somewhere around 65 miles per gallon. I saw a bunch of reviewers saying they were getting like 40 miles to the gallon. I kind of just combined those two numbers for an average of around 53 miles per gallon. And based on that metric, with a 3.7 gallon fuel tank, your realistic range from completely full to completely empty is about 180 to 190 miles. Now, most of us don't run our fuel tanks completely bone dry, so realistically, you're looking at a usable range of 150 to 170 miles. And I think that's pretty decent for your average sport bike. That's about the standard for what the other motorcycles in the class are obtaining. All right, and as we make our way across this large swooping on-ramp to go back to Big St. Charles Motorsports, it's probably time to establish our closing thoughts. So let's decide who this bike is for. If you're looking for a motorcycle that can serve as your beginner bike as well as your intermediate bike, oh my god, that guy got so close, what the f***? I think the Suzuki GSX-8R strikes a really nice balance there. With the selectable ride modes, the traction control, those two features alone are going to give you the tools and resources on a new motorcycle that are going to help you grow into it and really get your feet underneath of you before you go hopping on something with 100+ horsepower. Do I think this is a good beginner motorcycle? I absolutely do. Do I also think that you still need to respect the motorcycle and understand that 80 horsepower is still a lot of horsepower for a newer rider? Again, I absolutely do. So just know yourself, know what you're capable of handling, and understand what you might be biting off if you purchase one of these bikes. But very approachable. It's so easy to ride, and everything is very intuitive to keep you from getting distracted while you're out on the roadways. It's got great wind protection. It's got a super friendly power curve. It handles very well at low speeds, and even though 450 pounds does sound like a lot on paper for a beginner motorcycle, it carries itself very well. And it again goes back to being easy to ride. It's a really good commuter. It handles the highway no problem. It's comfortable around town, and it looks pretty damn good while doing all of it. And it sounds good too. And you could even compare it to something like an R7, which only has ABS, cable drive throttle, LCD display, no ride modes, no quick shifter, and that bike is like, what, $400 less than this? To me, this TFT display, this quick shifter, the traction control, the ride modes, the smooth engine, the extra bump and horsepower. The list goes on, is basically what I'm saying, for reasons that you should probably buy a Suzuki GSX-8R over a Yamaha R7. And I've already said the R7 was a good buy for a lot of other reasons in the video that I did about that, which you can watch right here. But I think for all of the reasons that I just listed, this motorcycle is a really, really, really good buy. But it's not all candy and rainbows and unicorn farts. So let's talk about a couple of things that the bike doesn't do well. If you're thinking of taking a motorcycle to the track to lay down some serious lap times, you could start on this. It would be a good intermediate track bike, but it's never going to give you that super high flying horsepower because of the nature of the parallel twin engine. The bike also has basically zero storage except for what's under the seat, which houses a couple of Allen keys that help you get your main seat off. So if you're after storage, this ain't it, Chief. Not having adjustable suspension is a bit of a downer, but again, I think the front end is sprung well enough that you don't need to really mess with it. It does very well for itself. I'd like to see some adjustability at some point, but with the price of the bike and everything else that it gets, I'm not complaining about that. If passenger comfort is of any concern to you, the passenger seat is actually decent, but not the most ideal choice. And I think really those are the only negative things I can say about it. But the best way to know for sure is to get on one and ride it for yourself. But for all of the reasons that I just said, if you're going off of my recommendation, you should be saying goodbye. And that's exactly what I'm gonna do right now. Goodbye, everybody. Let's go to the outro. Hey everybody, welcome to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching this far, and thank you for 10,000 subscribers. Before we close this out, I want to say thank you again to Big St. Charles Motorsports. For full transparency, the guy under this helmet works for Big St. Charles Motorsports. If you want to see my face, you're more than welcome to come down and check them out. It is a privilege that I have being able to take these out because normally sport bikes are off limits for test rides, but the owner is generous enough to let me come out here and bring you guys content and help them out along the way. Once more, affiliate Revzilla, links below in the description. I have nothing more to add. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day and ride safe.